Welcome back to Coast Vue. It's every day we have so many interesting guests, and as I've said before on the show, people always ask me, where do we keep finding so many interesting people? And it's true. I mean, every time we pull up a rock, 13 other rocks fall out from underneath it that are opportunities, like the One Coast Awards. And as Adele pointed out the other day, the Forever Young Awards, they'll be given out soon. That's another group of mentors that we can have on the show. And never a shortage of things to talk about and people to talk to about this great place we call Coast of Mississippi. And one of the regulars, I love to have visits with Sonny Schindler. I never know when we're going to get a chance to visit. He's a captain with Shore Thing fishing charters in Bay St. Louis. They fish, the Louisiana Marsh, bays and bayous of Coast of Mississippi, Cat Island. They have a terrific operation out at Cat Island. But great group of fishing captains, and it's always good to check in with Sonny and just see how things are going. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Wishing I was fishing, but weatherman got me today. So hopefully I can have a good chat with you.
But you know what? I tell you, it's interesting. The reality is we already are better off at this moment than we were this time last year. Significantly better. I was talking with Joe Spraggins, and he said that the testing they're doing for shrimp has done really well. The shrimp season is going to be a good one. I know we've had some rain recently, and that's going to swell some of the rivers and whatever. But we can handle that from time to time. What we had last year, this continuous, nonstop, one front after another, one weather system after another, that created freshwater fishing conditions where we normally have saltwater fishing conditions. That was a trying year. This has been a pretty good beginning of the season for you, hasn't it?
It has. And the funny, I was talking to one of our guys about this yesterday, and somebody was chiming in saying this is this epic year, and yes, the fishing is really, really good right now, but this is the type of fishing that happens when when the flooding and the spillways and stuff don't happen. The last time you and I spoke, we were talking about the grass out at the islands, and the last island trip I was on, several times, if we were fishing something on the bottom, we'd bring in a couple little sprigs of that. We call it spider grass. I'm sure there's a proper term for it, but so yes, things are good, but this is how things are supposed to be. So we're extremely, extremely appreciative for the good fishing we're in right now, and the shrimp, and seeing triple tail, and all the good stuff, the grass blooming. But this is how things are supposed to work. So it makes you appreciate it, and makes you maybe take note of the stuff that's causing it not to work, if that makes sense.
Well, look, I got a chance to get offshore weekend before last, and we went out to where 265 used to be. 265 is about a little over 50 miles from Horn Island. You know that, Sonny, but just for the radio audience. And it's a long run. And it's sad, man, because used to you'd make that run and you'd pass the patchy rigs, which are no longer there, and then you'd go to the next set of rigs, and they're no longer there, and then the next set of rigs, they're no longer there. You see one rig that's way off to the east, maybe two, on your way to 265, which is no longer there. 265 is underneath. Now, they have built some other rigs that are relatively close to a little bit deeper water. I think 265 was in a little over 200 feet of water, but there's some adjoining rigs in that block are a little bit further from that block that are in 300 feet of water. But man, used to, you and I talked about this before, you make that run and you may never make it to 265 because there's so much good stuff happens before you get there. But now you got to make the long run. But we got out there.
Right.
We got out there and the water was blue. And, last year when we saw this freshwater grass that's coming out of the Mississippi River, there was sargassum grass everywhere. Now, it was a little early. We caught a couple of dolphin, but it's a little early for it to, we put handfuls of little baby pogies out and nothing. You can't do that in July and August and not have, fishing frenzy.
Yeah.
But it was great to get out. I mean, the conditions were feeling more like the beginning of summer And we haven't experienced that in a couple of years. So, all in all, I think if you just rate coastal Mississippi fishing in general, it's really picked up. The other thing that Joe said is that the bait fish, and I mentioned the shrimp, have really recovered faster than they expected at the Bureau, and that's also great to see. So, so give us a lay of the land. Where you guys been fishing mostly these days?
Man, the good answer is everywhere. The years past, we found a little clean water in Back Bay and Cat Island, and that was it, man. So today, the last couple of days, we had all 8 boats out. We had them strung from Heron Bay to south of Ship Island. Alex has been running the big boat, and he runs down to closer to Chandelier. And the good thing is everybody caught fish. So the guys fishing a couple hundred yards off the beach, off Waveland, fishing reefs, they caught fish. Alex fishing way out in the stuff you like, south of Chandelier, on some of those structures out there. He was catching snapper and big trout and bull reds. The guys at the island have been doing well. The guys in the marsh are doing very well. But a lot of it is to do with that big push of shrimp that we haven't gotten in the last couple of years. It's nothing to go out there and just see acres and acres of birds and shrimp jumping. And some of the flocks of birds are chasing those little grass shrimp, and some of them are just chasing what looks like prawns jumping out of the water. So the numbers are there, the quality's there, the quantity's there. We're seeing triple tail. I haven't put a keeper in yet, but some of our other guys have put several in. I'm cursed with just seeing these little juveniles. But in years past, when you start seeing juveniles in April and May, like we have been seeing, come summertime and late summer is when we really see the monsters come into the bay and the Mississippi Sound where we're at.
It's we have in May before. I remember in May finding patches of sargassum grass, maybe 30 miles offshore, and finding them loaded with triple tail. In May. But we studied it. We studied lots and acres and acres and acres and acres of grass, and we didn't see the first triple tail. So. Hopefully they'll come. I don't really know much about their migrations. Tell me, do you know about? I mean, what's their story?
What little I know, just from tagging and talking to our friends at the research lab, the Gulf Coast Research Lab, warm and salty. That's what they like. So usually in October, after the first or second cold front, when that water temperature starts dipping, they'll head out. And you got to remember where we're fishing. Where we fish in the Mississippi Sound, the water temperature may be in the low 60s, but you run south out past the rigs towards the floaters in the middle of winter, and that water's still 70 plus.
It is. It's pretty warm for sure.
And
the water was everywhere we were. The water was in the low to mid 80s.
Right. Yeah, that's hot.
So you saw, I just showed you a picture of grass, and that was miles and miles of, clumped up grass, which is good to see. That was kind of the highlight of the trip right there. Big cobia. Yeah, nice. Big cobia. And, caught him up next to a rig. So we found this one rig every time we dropped a live croaker, a live mullet, or a live hardtail down. Every single time we dropped, we would get nailed, by amberjack or Lord knows what else. But, we bring the 50 double wide Tiagras out, for that, because once you get the hit, you gotta pull back rapidly, as you well know, or you're going to be all up in the rig. So we had a lot of luck as it related to that, but that was good to see. But it's just, just in general, the reports that I'm hearing from people, just in general, have been really, really good. And you probably heard, do you know David Machado? He was fishing, I think, was it the Orange Beach tournament or maybe the Mobile Big Game Club tournament? And my son-in-law's father, Keith Williams, was on the boat with him, and they fought a bluefin tuna for over 4 hours. and it was estimated to be over 700 pounds. The problem, they didn't know what they had. That was part of the issue. When they finally did discover what it was, they were able to get pictures of it, but they were like 2 or 3 days from the regulations on enabling them to actually keep it. So they had to release it, or it would have been one of those tournaments of a lifetime. You know how that goes. Hey, we're having a conversation with Sonny Schindler. When we come back, we'll get a sense of just how are people responding to the charter boat industry these days. How's it going? What's the latest? How are bookings? We'll kind of get a read on what's happening at Sure Thing Charters these days. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue with my friend Sonny Schindler. It's just fun to get together and talk fishing with Sonny. It really is. So, Sonny, how's business?
Man, business is great. This is kind of our peak season, if you will. The school getting out and the holidays and the festivals every weekend and the rental and hotels are just crushing it over here. So on top of that, I mean, our company's been around since '03, and we've got the biggest fleet in Mississippi. All of our guides help with everything, and that could be one day cleaning a portalet or heading to a outdoor show or manning, like somebody's manning the phones right now while I'm talking to you, booking trips and helping with emails and texts. Everybody has their niche that they're good at, and everybody's kind of a jack of all trades. When it comes to the fishing, some of our guys are just way better at putting big numbers of trout in. I'm not that guy. I can do it. But many of our guys are better than I am. Alex is really good at running south and messing with the groupers and the cobia and the snappers and stuff. My specialty is probably the family trip where you and I talk, where it's load for bear and see what happens. So I may take them trout fishing for a little bit. They catch enough for lunch, and they want to go catch something big, and then we go mess with the sharks or the bull reds or the triple tail. I like moving around and doing stuff and seeing what else is out there. Matthew, I don't know any of our guys that could stand toe to toe with Matthew on redfish. He's got gills. He's got redfish gills. But where I'm going with this, we all try and help each other get the with the best guide. So, you get a family group that wants to goof off, they'll maybe push them to me. We get some hardcore trout guys that want to get there early, and Ray and Darren and Jimmy and Keith, those guys, and they love it, so it's good for the customers. It's good for the guides. And, Alex's famous quote is, confidence breeds success, I believe is what he said. So we try and stick the trips. It doesn't always work. Sometimes people book later in the season and we can't squeeze them in, but with a little notice, we try and put the best crew with the best guide for that day. And they're going to have a great time with us regardless. I mean, all of our guys are fun and hardworking.
And you know what's interesting? I told you, I sent you a note about this, but when you look at some of the wildlife and birding in particular photography that's happening on some of your trips, if you look at those photos, I would swear to you that they're being taken somewhere down in the Everglades or the Florida Keys or something like that. I mean, we're fortunate. And I sent you that bird migratory.
I know. I
website.
forwarded it to everybody.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
like one of those little green birds, I forgot what you call it, landed on our boat while we were offshore the other day. And I told the boys, I said, see that little bird? It came here from South America. It's flying across the Gulf of Mexico. There's no way that little bird flew across. Yeah, well, and that particular website, man, it just shows you the wide number of birds that come through Mississippi, and it's really, really dynamic. But you're getting some incredible photography, aren't you?
And Robert Smith and Mike Jones, those guys have helped us so much get that up and running. The biggest problem we have right now is getting the timing right for the fallout and the nesting cycles to where we don't already have those days booked with fishing trips. So when I hang up with you, that's the project of the day, is to get with Kenny and our guides, Captain Kenny and Captain Matt, and try and get some sort of system in place with Mr. Robert to where we can have better opportunity for the birders. The birds are there.
Yeah.
And you've seen the work that Robert and his crew can do with the photography and spotting these birds. They're the best there is.
Sonny, what's interesting? The other thing I'd be interested in here, with your Cat Island operation and the house you have access to, and when you bring someone there for the first time, a family who's really antsy about it, not sure what that experience is going to be like, and then they get there, and they're on that little bayou, and the house is sitting there, and they have all the, the comfort of home, and they see how beautiful it is, and how quiet it is, and how amazing it is. It's fun to see people be awestruck, isn't it?
It is, and I always tell people when that doesn't get to me, or that doesn't, that excitement doesn't carry over to me, like it still does to this day.
Yeah, right.
When I lose that, I think I'm going to hang up my charter boat spurs, if you will. But it's every time. You can always spot the guy getting off the boat with like a kid walking into Disneyland, and I love it. Well,
I told you this before, and my son Jordan says this of Reed Geist, that he has a low threshold for amazement. That
Right.
every day is a new day. Every day is an opportunity to be amazed, and he appreciates that. That's the kind of guy you are. That's what makes you so good at what you do. Hey, we're out of time. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, Sonny.
Always a pleasure. See you soon.
This has been Sonny Schindler from Shore Thing Charters, and we'll have him back soon. We'll continue the conversation. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.